We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Earlier in the show, we were talking with Lisa K. Donner on the introduction of 15-minute cities. Now, we're back with Lisa, delving deeper into the geographic and ideological roots of such endeavors. Now, Lisa, these 15-minute cities, they're happening in locations in my home country now, as you alluded to earlier with the Oxford County 15-minute cities. And there's also something called the ULEZ scheme, ULEZ, standing, or Z if you're in America, standing for ultra low emission zones. Now, these are what many have described as a gateway drug to 15-minute cities because they act in a similar way. Essentially, they're making it too expensive to take your car beyond the allocated zone in which you live. Now, is this just a coincidence that these ideas for 15-minute cities, ULEZ zones, that they're being adopted on both sides of the Atlantic at the same time?
No, I don't think so. And they're marketing them as pedestrian and climate change friendly movements. But really what they are the ability to control the population, tell them when they can go, what they can, how they can go, and where they can go. And it's actually quite abhorrent to liberty. But the most amazing thing is how they make out people who are against it, who are liberty-minded people and advocates for liberty. They say that they are extreme far right, they're conspiracy theorists, they're fringe, and so if you go actually on the internet and you look up, just put in 15-minute cities, you'll see story after story after story of everyone who's against them being called a nutcase. You can see the day now, Mark, where they're going to start with social media saying, banned, you're in violation of community standards by talking about 15-minute cities.
No, that's just purely for China, isn't it? Although you should mention this, we actually have a little audio clip for you and video clip for those of you watching on site. And this is of the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, who many of you may be familiar with for his generally anti-liberty stance. Now, this clip of the mayor, he's talking about protesters to the ULEZ zones, the ultra-low emission zones, during an open forum Q&A, which, of course, the protesters were not allowed to take part in the open forum. So I want you to have a listen to this, Lisa, and give me your feedback.
There are objections. In 2006, when we banned smoking from public places, and there are objections now. What I find unacceptable, though, is some of those who've got legitimate objections joining hands with some of those outside who are part of a far-right group who are... Some of those outside... Some of those, let's be frank, let's call a spade a spade. Some of those outside are part of the far right. Some are COVID deniers. Some are vaccine deniers. And some are Tories. Now, to those people who've got legitimate concerns, by the way, and in fact, some of you have got good reasons to oppose ULEZ, but you're in coalition with COVID deniers. You're in coalition. You may not like it. 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 You're in coalition with the far right, and you're in coalition with vaccine deniers as well.
I love the audiences in the UK, the way they kind of give it back to the speaker, and they're clearly not pleased. It's really a hallmark of the Brits. But anyway, European cities are clearly at the vanguard of this movement. Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Oslo, and what's going on in London. What are you calling them?
ULEZ, I think. ULEZ. It's not a derogatory term against female members of the gay community. It's just ULEZ. But
all right. So in part one of our show today, we talked about Cleveland, but we didn't talk about the 20-minute city that is underway in, of all places, the Motor City, Detroit,
Yeah.
Michigan. There's a neighborhood concept with a different name, but it's the same darn thing in Portland, Oregon. And then in Ottawa, Canada, I think this is rich. To achieve the 15-minute city thing, they're having the residents significantly reduce 50% of their trips by car so that they'll have to be on foot, bicycle, or public transportation or carpooling. I mean, I can't wait till it's 15 below and snowing outside and somebody's getting ready in Ottawa to get on their bicycle. That doesn't work.
This forced health kick. Now, I'm a firm believer that everybody should be healthy, but they shouldn't be forced into exercise. It reminds me of the opening scene of 1984, obviously based on the book, but the opening scene in the movie, I believe, is John Hurt, the main character in that. He's being told by the TV screen to keep going with his touching of his toes, and that a man of your age should be able to touch your toes, and they're forcing him into this exercise. And for me, Lisa, this whole thing, it really strikes me as a papers, please society, which I don't know if that phrase is common on your side of the Atlantic, but a papers, please society. It's what we in the
we
UK
fought against the Nazis too. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So yeah, it's the idea that you have to produce your documents. You have to have permission to go to certain areas of a free city. Now, to me, Lisa, this seems like I'm going to say it seems like communism. Am I right, or am I going full Alex Jones here?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Mark. I mean, limiting travel has always been the hallmark of communism, fascism. Telling people where they can go, when they can go, and how they can go is not indicative of a free society. And I think there are many pitfalls in this 15-minute city or 20-minute or however they want to put a silk purse on a sow's ear. I think it really does impact our liberty, and we should be very wary of these movements, being touted as wonderful city planning utopias.
Yeah, there's an idea that really hasn't been discussed, but to me, it's pretty much the first thing I thought of, that this whole thing is to destroy free markets. I would say capitalism, but that's a word that the enemies of capitalism use to describe free markets. Because if you have a 15-minute city, you're supposed to shop and consume within your 15-minute zone, or 20-minute city if you're out in Motor City. So when somebody opens a business, they don't have access to the customers, and more importantly, the customers don't have access to that business. How does that work?
Mark, this has cascading effects that will ripple through our economy, our society, our culture, who and how we envision ourselves as people that can kind of get in the car and go to the store, or like we were saying, get in the car and take your kid to the hospital if he's sick, or if you're a first-time parent and he just has a cough. Yeah. That's my joke. Anyway, I'm just teasing you because you're a first-time parent. But anyway, I think there's a lot of pitfalls that we should be wary of. Anybody who's liberty-minded needs to keep their eyes open. And, we all know where this road of good intentions leads.
Nowhere good. Lisa K. Donner, thank you ever so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Mark.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides. Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5. Produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone. Hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner. Joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors. Deconstructing leftist narratives. Debating the hot topics. And remembering to laugh. Join the official conservative safe
You only
space.
did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.